entertaining them. Con Ryan.
That's right, Helma.
Lovely to meet. Well, of course, no. Considered by many to be as good as Count John himself.
Well, that is always debated, but my opinion of it all is that my father was a very powerful singer. He wouldn't have the finesse of McCormack or probably the training, but my father was a good operatic tenor, and we were more interested in operatic stuff than even ballads, you know. But he had a very marvellous career of about 30 years, you know, spanning from 1935 to his lamented death in 1965. But
another friend of your family's was old Tommy O'Brien, and when he wrote his book, Good Evening Listeners, he did say that your father, had he been trained in New York or London, would have just been one of the greatest. And we actually found a recording, not a brilliant recording now, I'm afraid time has sort of taken its toll on the recording, of I'll Walk Beside You. And we should listen to that just now.
Right.
That recording made, Con?
It's a good question, Thelma. It's quite a long time ago. I wouldn't hazard a guess, but it must have been well in the 1940s, you know. But his earlier records, funnily enough, we have very little of them at home, and we're not too worried about them because we never liked them. My father only matured in the middle 40s, and near the end of his days in 1965. I imagine, and funny enough, that could have been one of his last ones, and for me, just 2 weeks before his death.
Really?
When he sang over 30 songs in a concert there, and he was an unusual man. He had wonderful health and everything, but we all felt on that night that it hastened his death somewhat.
He'd overdone it.
Yeah, on second thoughts, I would think now that was the one, that was the night he sang that.
Did you travel with him to many concerts and things like that?
No, unluckily enough, I was very fond of competitive games and that, but my sister, Moira, my only sister, travelled New York with him, and he did terribly well in New York in the 40s. He sang in Carnegie Hall, and then of course he was in the Dublin Operatic Society in the early 40s with Conna, James Doyle and Arthur Hammond and those conductors over. John Hammond was singing opposite him, and I'd say his favourite opera was Martha by Floto, and Maritana, probably being Wallace from Waterford, would be obviously another one, you know.
Well, I wish we had longer time on the show to find out more about him, and indeed to maybe get a blast from yourself, but maybe another time.
Well, thank you, Thelma, for being so interested. I appreciate it, and the family do as well.
It would have been lovely to have a chance to talk to Peggy there beside you and that, but that's where we have to leave it today. Lovely audience, Derek.
Absolutely, and you know, I was gossiping to Mary Sheridan de Bruyne there because she knew that man's father not well, but knew him to listen to, and a great, fabulous voice. However, that's live at 3 for another day. Don't forget that tonight I'll be calling on the